What's up guys, this is Void of Death Gaming, your channel for fresh Arena of Valor content. And I've got someone for you who is basically one of the most popular characters, at least in my account, and we are talking about Arthur. Arthur brings both beefiness, tankiness and a good old decent punch to the table. He's not considered to be a tank, but if you build him quite tanky, he can just soak up huge amounts of damage and still be able to pack a punch and deliver some hefty blows into the enemies, and that is how I like to play him. And first of all, I want to share my build with you because I haven't played him in about a year on this channel, which is actually quite surprising because I do like to play Arthur in some of my ranked games. So in terms of the build, we are going with something hybrid, and you're going to see it right now, as this is my armory layout in terms of the items. As you can see, we are not building a single damage item, but we will eventually use some of those both magic resistance items against a Fenris Tooth, if that is considered to be a good play, depending on the matchup. If there are a lot of mages, I would always go with those two, but if you find yourself in a position where there is just one strong mid laner, you should decide if it's either Gaia's Standard or the Medallion of Troy, and then you can switch out the last item to some damage building one. For example, Spear of Longinus is actually something good. As I said, Fenris is actually quite decent. You can go with Hyoga's Edge as well, because it brings some slow effects that will come in handy in team fights. But this is basically the main setup, and we're going to build upon that by using Arcana that are focusing on damage. This is my Marksman Warrior build. We are going to enhance our attacks, our armor pierce, and our movement speed, and we're doing that with 10 times Onslaught level 3, 10 times Assassinate level 3, and 10 times Skewer for some lovely armor pierce. In terms of the enchantment section, as I said, we're doing some hybrid stuff. So as you can see, we're going with a full Lockheim build that is going to be running around the damage enhancement. So we've got Raging Inferno, we've got the Deadly Claw, and we've got Desperate Duel, because we're going with Arthur on the solo lane, and therefore at the beginning of the game we're going to fight one-on-one fights, and to sustain a little bit better throughout the laning phase, sorry, I'm going to use Enhanced Restore as well as Gunslinger. So this is basically my standard Arthur build, and because we have a new meta, we've got a new update with the Battlefield 4.0, I don't really know how he is going to run in the battle, if it's going to be good or if it's going to be bad, because as I said, I haven't play tested him yet, and therefore we're going to take a closer look on some actual gameplay. I hope you guys enjoy that. And here we go, ladies and gents. This is I think a 5er queue that I have recorded during my 5er queue madness when I've got some free time to spare. That was actually a lot of fun with a lot of people coming from the Discord server, and if you want to join some fights with me, check out the link in the description below, and you're going to check where the Discord server is located, and you can join a lot of friendly Arena of Valor players that I think play daily matches. Unfortunately, I can't always go with them. In fact, I hardly have time to do something like that, but from time to time I will inform you, and it's going to be crazily good. So we are up against a buffed / nerfed Errol. Errol has been touched by the update, and you will find in the video description below the link to the current changes. So if you are interested in what has happened to Errol, you can find all the detail in there, and you can see me running against him at first just to find out how strong he is. And the verdict of that is he's pretty strong right now, so we need to be a little bit more careful. But as this is a casual game, I usually tend to find out the power levels at first, and then I can adopt my playstyle towards that. So we've got a pretty decent matchup, I'd say. We've got Batman and Toro. Batman is not one of the best junglers in the game right now, but I think we have to see, because the meta is going to change a little bit. And for example, today I heard that Elsu is quite strong these days. He has not been touched by the update at all, so I wonder where all this kind of damage spike comes from. but as I said, we're going to see how the game is about to evolve around the meta, because a lot of changes has been implied on our lovely heroes that we play on a daily basis, and we just need to see how the whole ranking is going to be after we've got more matches in and the tier lists have been adjusted. So I didn't really think that Quillen was about to visit me on the top lane, therefore I made a mistake and fought Errol to the very last hit. I think that I would have been able to get him, could have used my execute to finish him off, but unfortunately Quillen just stopped my plan and I had to go against him. So now we've scored the first kill. I think that Valheim did not really pay attention to the map at all, because otherwise he would have been aware of the fact that I might be coming in, closing on him with all of my might. And I just need to kind of polish my stats right now, so we need to be a little bit more careful. We need to pay a little bit more attention to the map and not make any mistakes as we did at the beginning of the game, in order to soften that score, because as you can see right now, it's 2 versus 3. Fighting against Errol, I always try to sidestep his hefty X, as I've just done. He used execute, so I know that I will be fine on the retaliation, but at first I need to get some more hit points, and I decided to go back to just be in a better position if I'm going to fight against him. Meanwhile, my team is scoring a triple kill for Natalia, so that's pretty dope, putting us in a lot better position. And my team, as you can see, is fighting against Abyssal Dragon, and as it seems, it's completely uncontested, and therefore we got the little experience and gold buff that results in killing it. So after a little rough start, we turned the tides of the battle, and I would say we are completely back into the game, turning that game into our favor, and now it's our time to go against Errol. As you can see, he's just using his spells, and there is Quillen again, but this time I was prepared. I paid attention to the map, and I had my S1 ready, so I could easily escape his vicious attempt to kill me and set me back to the respawn point. I mean, the good thing about Arthur is that the longer the game goes, the more items you will have, and if I'm not mistaken, and they haven't changed the basic outlay of the items, the tank items will outscale the damage items in the end the longer the game goes. So this is actually pretty neat, and as you can see, we have no problem diving Errol under tower. He was just a little bit too low. It would have been better to go home and reset with full health, but I think he did not take into account that Batman was about to dive him, and therefore we were able to get another kill. So it's 2-2-0 right now, so I'm back into the game, I would say. So everyone was rotating down, and I took the opportunity to get the first tower. And as you guys know, the middle tower is one of the most important, if not the most important tower in the game, because it's the shortest distance from the core to the other core, and therefore we are obviously trying to get that first, and it worked out just fine. And it just seems that our fighting capabilities got a lot better when we're fighting against Errol. At least I don't have problems as I had them in the first minutes of the game. Of course, you still need to be super careful, because you don't want to get hit by that axe if he is fully loaded with his abilities. Unfortunately, he's just cleared the Spirit Sentinel, so that means that he gets this little health buff, but as you can see, we've got our stuff back, and I think he just overpaced here a little bit, because I was on cooldown. He didn't pay attention to that. I think he was just not aware of the fact that my cooldowns are so little, and that makes Arthur overly good. You've got a really strong initiating capability with your ultimate as well as your S1, and doubling those gives you the opportunity to dive into the front line and then pick someone in the back line and rain havoc on the enemies. And I like this overly aggressive potential that Arthur brings to the table, because he's got the power, like he's got the power and he's got the tankiness, and that is a really nasty combination. Again, we sidestepped it, so that's super important. There is Quillen again. I saw Quillen. There's Batman. So now we can fight the both of them, and here comes the ultimate. Unfortunately, we do not get the kill, but it's the first assist. Little emote icon here icon from Batman, and with the additional Frost Cape, we can now get more damage onto the enemies and slow them, and that is a really good combination for Arthur, because it just means that you're going to fight and follow up a little bit easier. I don't know how you guys feel about him. Like, I sometimes got the feeling that people are thinking that, okay, it's Arthur, so he's like a noob champ, but I really like the combination of being super tanky at the end of the game. You are quite mobile for a tank, and then on the other hand, you've got the damage, and that makes him just really nice to play, because you've got an answer on basically all of the situations. There are many games where you actually want to have a tank as the solo laner, because you don't have a true tank in the support department. For example, if you are going with, well, Kha'Zix is not the best, but Sephara, for example, isn't really a tank. Like, she's a good initiator because she's got the skills to hard CC enemies and deny stuff for them, but then you sometimes just need pure HP. Like, you need a big pile of HP that you can donate, so that the enemies are starting to unleash their ultimates on you, and then your team can follow up with the devastating attacks. And Arthur is just a really solid, a really decent combination of the two of them, and that makes him really good in team fights. So it's not only about the solo laning capabilities that he has, obviously. And here we go. 5 kills right now. Unfortunately, Batman has been shut down. But you see what HP brings you into the game. Like, you've got the... If I would be playing a normal warrior, I guess, like Yena or someone else, I would have more damage. But if you can't bring that damage into the enemies, if you can't connect with the damage, you will have a hard time. And that is why Arthur is basically quite easy to play, or easier to play. Of course, he's not easy. You still have to know what you're doing, but that goes for every other hero in the game as well. But in this case, it kind of makes him easier to adopt to certain situations, because you've got this big pile of health. Big pile of health. So that was a real rundown and a real teardown on the enemies. 25 versus 6 kills right now, 3 deaths, 3 assists. So the overall score is actually quite nice. I can live with that. More kills than that stuff is really cool. So I wasn't too sure about my magic resistance item, but because we're going against Illumia and Aram, I just decided to go with Gaia Standard, because there is not that one crazy combo of magic attacks being unleashed in you. For example, how Natalia would do it. So I rather go for the sustainability aspect than the shield. That's going to be better against like alpha strikes. At least that was my decision at this point of the game. I rather went for more sustainability over a shield that's going to help me once, but in the long run, I think Gaia Standard is the better choice here. So now there's Avril, and I think that was it was unfortunate, but he solved it in at least a healthy kind of way, making him able to run out of our attack range with using his ult. And now it's basically just hanging around, baiting them into actions. Unfortunately, my ult is not ready yet, but Toro is making an entrance here, being played super aggressively, and that's the way you play Toro. Again, another kill. That tower is basically not assistant anymore, so we can now start to fight them under the tower. As you can see, I'm going in. Here we go. A lot more kills. They're all being on the retreat. I'm soaking up some tower damage, but that's completely fine. And now we can start to wither down the tower. We've got another minion wave. And so while the enemy team is just defending, we are ending the game. And that's it. And I still love how good Arthur works in the current meta, because he brings just so much versatility to the table. He got some damage, he's got some tankiness. And in one of my earlier videos I made fun of that, saying like basically there's only one role that Arthur cannot really fit into, and that is the AD carry, just because of the fact that he doesn't have a ranged weapon. But you can play him in the jungle, you can play him as a support, you can play him in the mid lane as a mage. Of course you're going to be melee, but you will have some magic damage coming from your items and even boosting some of your abilities. And I think he's just an overall good character. So today, I hope you liked the video. If that is the case, a thumbs up would be highly appreciated. If you're not a subscriber to the channel, please subscribe. It would help me a lot, and it means a lot to me. I'm really happy for every new subscriber that finds his or her way to the channel, and I wish you a pleasant evening. Bye bye.